and welcome. You're watching Head to Head. I'm Antonina Antosha with UATV. The 16th International Documentary Film Festival and Human Rights Docudays UA started in Ukraine. The event screens over 70 films, both short and feature-length documentaries. Docudays UA will, as usual, focus on a topical issue. This time it's the digitalization of people's lives. To discuss this, we're joined in the studio today by Rasul Jafarov. He's a lawyer, human rights defender in Azerbaijan, and chairman of the Human Rights Club. Hello, and thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you for the invitation.
So first of all, let's talk about the festival. And as far as I know, you are among the jury.
Yes.
Right? So what are the top, let's say, issues or themes that are being triggered by the 16th festival this year?
Thank you very much for the question. First of all, I should mention that it's my pleasure to be here in Kiev for the Docu Days. I heard about Docu Days so many times, but I'm like first time taking part so closely to this film festival. And the topic, like digitalization, and how this process impacts the lives of the people is very important, since the internet and social networks, digitalization itself, impacting the daily life of the ordinary people. And I'm a jury who is going to choose the film which is about the digitalization on one hand, from another hand, how it impacts the human rights. So there are several categories there, and the category where I'm going to be the person choosing the film is about the category calls the Rights Now, and we are choosing the one film which describes the problem and at the same time propose how to solve this problem among 10 movies. So we will choose one movie, and also most likely we will also make a special mention of one or two movies which is opening again the problem of digitalization on impact on ordinary citizens.
What's going to happen to the movies or films that are going to be presented at the Docudays and selected by the jury as the best ones depicting the issues that you have just described? What's going to happen next to those films?
The film festival, the aim of the film festival is to present the films to the broader audience, of course. And after these films will be selected, I believe there will be more advertisement and more sending the messages to the people that if you want to understand the problems of nowadays regarding the digitalization and the human rights, so it is recommended for you to watch these films. And of course, the winner, they will get the prize, but at the same time, it's kind of acknowledgement by human rights defenders, human rights community, and when you are kind of acknowledging the importance of these movies together with the filmmakers and human rights defenders, I believe it's easier for us to explain the audience why this is important and why it's important to have artistic approach to these problems.
Rights Now award has bine launched just this year.
Yes.
However, the problem of human rights violations has been existing for a long, long time. Why now?
I mean, it does. I believe that it doesn't mean that previously the human rights issues were not, let's say, not on agenda of the film festival or the audiences. It was, I'm sure about it, but it seems that, you know, since the number of the violations are growing, unfortunately, everywhere, including our region, and the number of the films started to grow, demonstrating the problems, describing the violations of human rights, and at the same time proposing how we as a humans should react and solve these problems. I believe because of this reason it was decided to have nowadays category in this film festival.
Let's talk about your personal story. You are also a victim of human rights violation. You were arrested in 2014,
yes.
right, in August. Share your story.
I mean, my story shortly is about that, unfortunately, human rights defenders and critics of the government in Azerbaijan could be very easily detained. And the government in 2013, like end of 2013 and the beginning of the 2014, decided to crack down on civil society. On one hand, they started to change the legislation with regressive amendments, which make the life of the civil society organizations very difficult, and in fact, we can't operate independently right now. And I would say the situation about the legislation on NGOs in Azerbaijan is even worse than Belarus or Russia. We don't have law on foreign agents like in Russia, and Russia and Belarus are the countries which also kind of aggressively attacking the civil society. But now imagine that our legislation is even worse than these two countries. And at the same time, they started to arrest the people, like activists of the civil society, based on bogus fabricated charges. And I was one of arrested persons in August of 2014. And the whole indictment of the prosecutor office was built on activities of our organization, Human Rights Club, starting since 2010. So there was nothing else there, like all projects, all activities. Their claim was that, you know, since we were not registered by the same, let's say, authorities, their claim was that, okay, if you didn't have a registration, it means you couldn't operate. However, the laws until now do not prohibit of operation of non-registered
Were you
NGOs.
sentenced? Did you have to do?
I was sentenced to 6.5 years. I spent almost 2 years behind bars, and then as a result of local and international advocacy, and I believe also economic financial situation, I was released together with other political prisoners in March of 2016. But unfortunately, we have so many others who are behind bars for their criticism, just for expressing their thoughts and expressions.
When that happened, and when you did your time in jail and you got out, did this change your point of view on the situation?
Fundamentally not. I didn't change my position fundamentally. I still believe that the human rights and freedoms in the country should be respected. I believe that even though it has its own problems, but democracy, the only way that the countries, including Azerbaijan, should go forward and the authorities should take country in the way of the having the broader democracy in Azerbaijan. And I believe, I recall that in 2016, when we just released, we, together with my other few colleagues, we disseminated article in the media saying that we are human rights defenders, we didn't change our position, and we will continue our activities. So after some breaks, let's say, for the health issues, etc., I continue my activities.
As a human rights defender, you're probably and most obviously watching closely the situation in the annexed Crimea. Absolutely. And also in the temporarily occupied territories in the east of Ukraine. How would you evaluate the situation in those territories of Ukraine?
Yes, we are watching this closely because Azerbaijan has kind of the same problem. We are also kind of victim of the aggression, but not newly in the beginning of the 90s. And almost the same problems we managed to observe in our, let's say, occupied lands. Now we can see almost the same in Crimea. I believe it's now obvious to everyone that the Russian authorities, they are challenging the people. They're targeting those people who are thinking differently than the authorities, the Russian authorities. And the news that we had yesterday, the new searches and detentions of the Crimean Tatars based in Crimea is very worrisome. And as a human rights defender, the main thing what we can do in this situation is to raise the problems all the time. Our organization is a member of the Civic Solidarity Platform, which is the coalition of almost 80 organizations all around the Eurasia region, including Central Asia, South Caucasus, but at the same time some Eastern and Western European institutions. So we, today or probably tomorrow, we are still collecting the signatures. We will issue a statement about the searches and detentions which was happened yesterday, but we're at the same time closely watching the cases of Sentsov, of course, the journalist Baluch, and the others who detained on obvious political motivation and on fabricated charges.
And in making those problems that you've just numbered and named even more and more outspoken, digitalization could help.
Right.
How? What do you use? What kind of means of digitalization do you use to change the political prisoners' lives and the other people like ethnic minorities like Crimean Tatars in the next Crimea?
I mean, the first thing what we usually do through the digitalization, not specifically our organization, but a human rights community, because we are so far not so directly involved on it, is to collect the very strong evidences like videos and visual evidences proving kind of annexation itself or proving the violation of the rights. Because when there are two sides claiming the different stuff, you have to have very strong evidences in your hands in order to prove before the third parties your position. So in order to strengthen your position, the digitalization and the let's say opportunities that could be taken from the digitalization issues are very helpful. So you are in the position when you can prove through the visual products that you are right and you are proving the exact violation of the human rights. And when there is an exact violation of the human rights, logically there should be punishment for this. There should be some action against this violation. Unfortunately, it's not the case all the time. But again, when you have these visual materials, visual products in your hands, it's easier for you to advocate for the punishment. It's easier for you to advocate to explain to the international community, to the European community, that the impunity is very negative and that those who are responsible for the violations, the perpetrators, should bring to the justice. I think the number one positive side of the digitalization in human rights is about this. But at the same time, you know, it helps you and your organization to present the position of your organization or the importance of the human rights to the broader audience easily. I mean, imagine you are kind of issuing one statement just orally or in a written way, and for example, it will reach, let's say, like hundreds. But when you are giving your message through the
internet, social media,
and the social media, so the very creative visual materials, then your audience is automatically growing to thousands. So this too. So
the bottom line is digitalization is great, not only for entertainment, but also for helping people.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you.
That was Rasul Jafarov. He's a lawyer and a human rights defender in Azerbaijan and a chairman of the Human Rights Club. Thank you so much for watching UATV. Stay tuned for more.